Hey, natural beauties. It is me, your girl T of BeUTee Bath and Body. And today we have an amazing lunch and learn. As you know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And as such, I like to go ahead and highlight various organizations and individuals in the metro Atlanta area who are doing amazing things in the community. So today I have with me the amazing G. Marie of Alabaster Box. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. Just a little background so I could tell everybody how we met. I was vending like probably my second vending event, maybe what, 2, 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And I was just telling the background story of BeUTee Bath and Body and how we seek to support local domestic violence centers and work with different individuals. And I just happened to be talking to someone. She heard my story. Next thing you know, she comes back like an hour later, like, you have got to meet G. Marie. I'm like, oh, okay, like this is going to. And initially, we were talking, and I just got a good vibe from her. And I felt like, okay, if the Lord wants this to happen, I'm gonna ask it. I'm gonna toss it out there and see if she would come interview with me for our Domestic Violence Awareness Month panel. So I did. She accepted. I'm so grateful, and you're here with me today, and I'm just super super grateful. So thank you again for being here.
We're so honored to be here. You have no idea.
Well, yeah. Understand. So I guess give me a little bit of background on Alabaster Box and company and everything that you all are into.
Alabaster Box was formed this year for 2020 when the pandemic struck. We've actually started our efforts and our partnerships and mission maybe about 2 years prior to. But when the pandemic struck, then we figured now is a good time for us to expand and to really just serve more people, because we realized there's a lot more people than we originally sought out for. Like we went from a small group of people, which would just be the domestic abuse victims and burn victims. But then when we realized that, there are so many more other people that are in need and that could, benefit from what we do, then we figured, let's see how we can grow in the community. And so now we are partnered with different counties. Actually, we have partnerships in Atlanta Public Schools. We have partnerships in Henry County schools, and we're working our way to Sandy Springs right now. So we've been growing, and it's been nothing short more than God. God has been just expanding our territory beyond our belief, because we thought that we were just going to be, just south side and, helping our local people. But it's like, no.
Right. Yep. When it's purpose driven and when you're called to do it, it's
Yes. And
room.
it's like, as long as you're willing to accept
Yes.
the task, and that's been all that I've been praying for, is the strength to be able to endure the mission, because sometimes the cross is heavy. And building teams so that you can expand, it becomes a task in its own. But like you said, when it's purpose driven and it's God driven, then it'll just happen. And it's been happening organically, and we're super thankful for all the support, all the donations that people have been giving to keep us growing and expanding. So it's been every day it's something else, and it's a new relationship that's been introduced. So we're super thankful.
Yeah, that is amazing. So tell me a little more about your mission, like what's your setup and everything that you all are into.
So we actually provide clothing, shoes. We provide support through education, which would be our financial literacy. We have people that teach and people that we direct and outsource to. We have mental wellness facilities that we also outsource people to just help people in wherever they are, because it's more than just the mental. You have to look the part, you have to feel the part, you have to feel, like you're able, you know, and then also the opposite way. It's not just the physical. You have to be supported here and supported in your heart. So we try to just, you know, build a community where everybody is locked arms and supporting each other, so that you're never feeling alone, or you're never feeling like you're not needed. You know what I mean? Because that's a part of the domestic abuse. When people come out of it, they feel so unneeded, they feel unwanted, they feel unloved. And
Right.
that's the complete opposite of what God has for us, because we are loved, you know. And sometimes before you can get to God, you need that person to sit with you and just kind of listen to you, and maybe allow them to cry on your shoulder, or to just, you know, voice what's going on with them, or, you know, be that person that can give them a good word, a word of encouragement, a word of faith. And that's what our community is building to, you know, expand everywhere. We don't want it to just be in one school or one community. We want it to be in all of our communities. So if we can leave a little bit of alabaster box everywhere,
Yes.
that's the goal, you know.
Yes, no, that is so amazing. That's fantastic. So, just as an aside, I have been on your Instagram and like following along with your progress. And like, the last post that you did with all of the clothes and donation items is absolutely amazing. Like to see that room filled with all of those items is just
Yeah,
like look at God, look at him out here just
look at God, go God.
wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you go about, I guess, obtaining all of those items and sourcing them for the schools?
So I'll tell you a little bit about the transition of that, because it's been a real process. So a little of the background of how this became, my for-profit organization is a G. Marie Cleaning.
Mhm.
So we're a cleaning company, and we specialize in organizing and deep cleaning stuff. And when we're talking about deep cleanings, we're not just talking about cleaning your home, because with deep cleanings, we're throwing out the old. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So when we have a bunch of material, because we'll come to houses that are packed full of, well, we'll just call it what it is, hoarder, you know,
Yeah,
tendencies,
sure.
and people that don't even know that they're hoarding. They're holding on to old clothing, they're holding on to old furniture, they're holding on to, you know, just these
Mhm.
old ties,
Mhm.
and they're looking for new, but they're wondering why they're still attached to so much old. It's because you're attached. So
Sure.
when we come in and do this deep cleaning, we're going to shake it up in there. We're going to say, do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need this? You don't? Let's get out of here. Let's, you know what I mean? Let's clean it out.
Sure.
And when we leave, your house is not only brightened because you don't have all these things crowded up, making it cloudy. Now we have, I can see, you know, I can see the light in here now. Let me open up the blinds. Let me turn on, you know what I mean? Let me flip these light switches on. So
Sure.
it's a deep cleaning of the soul, because we're so tied to our materials a lot of times, you know. And in order to untie it, we have to be willing to part ways. So we help people to part ways with what is old, and we are able to bless it with somebody that hasn't had anything, that is like, oh my God, you know, this clothes that you have tags on, these shoes
Right.
that you have never worn. I haven't had a new pair of shoes in 5 years, you know, and it blesses them. So it's like, it's the gift that keeps giving. Now you are relieved and, you know, ultimately freed. And now you've given, and now somebody has received the love that somebody else that they don't even know has just given them brand new, you know?
Mhm.
So in that, with the cleaning, I started initially taking on the responsibility of doing the organizing and throwing out old things.
Mhm.
And in that, I would hold on to them. So, for instance, I had a client who worked for Delta, and he had all these nice polo and button downs and khaki pants and, you know, dress up interview clothes.
Mhm.
And he was like, I don't want to give this stuff away because, I don't want to throw it away because it's good stuff, And I
Right.
said, well, give it to me. I'm going to hold on to it because somebody's going to need it. And less than a week later,
Right.
somebody needed
Of
it.
course.
So it went from that to, you know what? I'm going to start taking stuff. And I started doing that, as a part of my cleaning. I'll always, hey, do you have anything that you want to donate?
Wow,
And they
yeah.
would donate it. And I ended up needing a storage for all of this stuff that I started to accumulate. I still
Wow.
didn't have a place to put any of this stuff. So it was just like, okay, all right, let's get a storage and just,
Mhm.
see what happens. And then it went from the storage to in my house and to other people's houses.
You
And
just
it was
start
like
doing stuff,
anybody who I knew that had a storage space, I was
right?
like, listen, if I can just borrow your garage for like just a little time, just put these couple of bins in there to, and it was like, once I truly got into the process of what the purpose was to do with all of these things,
Mhm.
God started giving me all of these different avenues to where he wanted his belongings to go. So at
Mm.
that point, I had went from 0 places to put it and 0 hubs to
Wow.
facilitate it to 6 hubs within 6 weeks.
Oh my
And
goodness.
we're not talking about a small, we're talking about people are donating 3 classrooms to us,
Oh my
4
goodness.
classrooms to us. So it's like all of these places that I've been just holding, hold it.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, let me pick that up. I need to pick that up too. And let me pick that. And it's just like now all of them have grown. So now at any of our schools, which I'll, send you all of our addresses, is
Perfect.
those are drop-offs. So anybody who wants to drop off, if it's a area near you, you can drop it off. And we have bins where you can just donate inside the bin. We'll come by, put it in one of the whichever facility needs it, and that's how we do it. And if you need us to pick it up because it's something like bigger, we have trucks available so we can come by.
Wow.
Anybody can just let us know. You go on the website and there's a donate button. We'll gladly come by and pick it up.
Oh my goodness. And what is that website? I'm gonna link everything, but
It is alabasterboxatlanta.org.
okay, perfect, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, and mind you, I always have stuff that I'm taking over to Goodwill. However, now they get enough stuff already.
Yes, they get enough
They get
stuff.
enough stuff. I mean,
And they charge for it. We don't charge anything. Everything that we give is for free.
oh,
Furniture, beds, car seats,
wow.
diapers, jackets. We have it all and it's all for free.
Wow, that's a blessing. So, what is the demographic that you're serving? Is it just for a specific group of people that can come get this?
Not, it's not because all of our hubs cater to different demographics and they all
Mhm,
have different things that they offer at their facility. So some
mhm,
people have workshops, some people it's just school,
mhm,
some there are homeless shelters,
mhm,
some are domestic violence hubs. So everyone is different.
mhm.
Everyone is different.
That's good.
Mhm.
That's good. Yeah, because everyone's always in need. Like there's no specific.
Everybody's in need.
Yeah. No, that's something that I think about with BeUTee Bath and Body, right? It started off
Mhm.
for specifically for women and children. However, the more of these conversations that I have with other individuals in the DV community, it's like, yeah, men are a part of it,
Mhm.
IA community, everybody. So I'm like, okay, how can I start to expand the birth of the company? So,
Right.
it's always good to hear other people's stories too, because then it kind of gives me more focus or opens me up to other ways of thinking of how I can continue to serve as well.
Right.
So, Jean Marie, I know we were talking about like the origins of our company and like how we kind of got connected was my story is that when I was 3 years old, I saw a domestic violence incident, and it kind of set me on this path throughout life where I didn't feel safe. I never really trusted people, and it wasn't really until I was 38 when I had an encounter with God. because
Mhm.
I kind of was going through this phase in my life where I wanted to go back and like look at what had happened in my life and really get back into doing things that were meaningful. And one of them was volunteering. And so I was like, okay, well, let me just put two and two together, right? I'm volunteering and I'm also going to address the fact that clearly I was dealing with things, with regards to the domestic violence incident that I saw. And I went to go volunteer at Women's Resource Center to end domestic violence, and everything was fine. I went in, I talked to the volunteer coordinator for like 45 minutes. And during that conversation, it kind of came up that this is why I'm here. I did witness something as a child, and that's my first memory, in this journey of life. As soon as I walked out the door, I started bawling my eyes out. It was like
Mhm.
this rush of emotion,
Mhm.
literally for like 7 days straight, from March 11th, 2019 to March 18th, 2019. I was just overwhelmed with emotion flooding in, but it was like this purge at the same time.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
wasn't like a grief. It was like God was finally lifting this burden off of me that I really didn't even know I was carrying until I started looking back on like previous relationships, romantic, friendship, family relationships, that I realized just how that one incident, witnessing it when I was younger at 3, had set me on this trajectory of life for just like I was saying, not feeling safe and everything else. And so that's kind of how this company was built out as well. Because at the same time, I was a scientist and I was making my own bath and body products. But I was also looking for a way to support the DV community. So I put the two of them together, and it really, again, was God like, man, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Because as soon as I got started, when I tell you, doors started opening, there was a whole bunch of stuff I never even considered. I just, was getting visions of, okay, this is what your logo is, this is what your branding is, this is
Mhm.
how everything's supposed to go. He started, opening doors for me to meet people. Like I met you just off of vending at at an event. And it's just been like this constant growth of the company ever since then. And so I know, from talking to you, like your company also is very purpose driven, and God led. And so I wanted to know, like, if you're comfortable just giving more of your backstory and like the origins of how you came to supporting the community.
So, my purpose was inspired because of an experience and a season that I had to undergo to walk in my purpose. So, I went through a short season of a domestic violence relationship, and the end result was me being um purified. I'll say that, purified through a fire. And it was, of course, uncomfortable. It was, of course, one of the worst times of my life, but it was also the best time of my life because it was a rebirth and it was a chance for me to live in a purpose instead of living in flesh, because that's where I was prior to the fire. I was a person who, you know, sought after the material things of this world, and I was in greed for the money,
Mhm.
and I didn't have respect for myself. I didn't have the respect for God. I didn't walk in anything less than selfishness. Like if it didn't benefit myself, I didn't want to be a part of it.
Sure.
And I didn't want to acknowledge God and who he is, which is the alpha, the beginning and the end, and until you recognize that and you run away from it, the further you are away from the truth.
Mhm.
And that's what I had to learn going through the fire. And in that, he showed me who I truly was, which was an ugly person. And during my healing, when I lost all my skin and I had to look in the mirror and see myself for who I was, which was an ugly person.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I accepted him and I accepted what he had for me, then I began to heal. And I didn't begin to heal here first. I began to heal here in my heart. And in my heart, my mind started to think differently. It started to react differently to things that would happen, because normally I would automatically go to an anger. I would automatically go to a, you know what I mean? It was automatic negativity attached to anything that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I was healed that I was able to see the positive in everything, because there's nothing bad that can ever happen to you. What happens are lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and God is teaching you something. He is walking you through something, but it's up to us whether we receive the lesson or we don't. And just like in school, when you don't receive the lesson, they don't advance you to the next grade. They keep you back until you receive it. So whether that makes you 25 when you graduate or 55 when you graduate, it's up to you. So there's never anything bad. It's just about realizing where you are and where he's trying to get you. You know what I mean? So when we see people making the same mistakes, they're just not learning the lesson. Either they don't care or they don't care to learn. You know what I mean? And either way, it's okay, because you'll still just keep going through it. That's why we see people that are 60 and we're wondering, how did they get there? They've been doing the same thing. That's how they got there. They haven't changed. They haven't grown. They haven't realized the Father is trying to tell you something. He's trying to give you the way out if you'll take it. If you don't, he's like, I'm not going to make you take the way out. You know what I mean? People that remain in abusive relationships, he's not going to force you out just because you cried to him. He's going to give you a way out, but it's up to you to take it. And it's up to you to stand in it, because of course we can all go back to what feels comfortable, what feels, familiar. But then it's also up to us whether we say, you know what happened yesterday is not going to happen today. And to stand firm, So in my experience, that's what it was. It was God getting my attention once and for all, because he, popped my hands, as we do, any parent. We pop our children's hand when they're young. Keep popping it. You keep popping it. Then when they get a little older, you might pop them on the butt, like, hey, now, I'm trying to tell you. But then once it's to that point, you just let them go. You let them keep walking. You know what? I done told you. And now I have to let you just kind of feel what I was protecting you from, because God has given me countless times of, hey, calm down, my child, calm down. And I've been to jail more times than I could care to count. When I was young, that was my first, hey, and I was never going to jail for anything serious. Let me just throw that out. These are traffic tickets, but those are the warnings before it becomes serious. You ran that red light because you were being careless. You didn't have your seatbelt on, and now you have a seatbelt ticket. You know what I mean? It's like, and then if you don't pay your seatbelt ticket, we've given you 60 days to pay it. So now you don't want to pay it. You want to act like, you don't have to pay it. Okay, well, we're going to take you to jail. Yes, a $25 ticket, but guess what? You didn't learn the lesson. So it's like, with that, you're going to graduate to bigger and, more permanent, results, which right now, these are permanent results that I have to look at every time I look at myself. They're reminders of, hey, anything can happen if you let it. If you're not being obedient, if you're not in line with his purpose, if you're trying to do your own thing, this is where it gets you. It can get you in the fire, literally. And it's like, for me, that was my turning point to say, you know what? All this time that he was trying to get my attention with these small pops on the hand and I wasn't listening, I hear you now, God. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got out of the domestic relationship. I ran actually because I was scared for my life.
Yeah.
He was threatening to kill me. And he had already, attempted a few times. And I was just, by the grace of God, able to get out. And once I did finally part ways at the Kroger that night, because we weren't at the house, we were at a grocery store,
Oh, wow.
and I literally ran.
Wow.
Had the police come up there and everything that day because I was scared, and I thought because we were married, I have to get in the car with him. No, nope. Mm-mm,
That's an important part to
mm-mm.
right,
You
right.
do not have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I was scared, but I said, you know what? I don't have anything, but
You have your
just go,
right,
just go.
right.
So I formed my organization after that to let women know you don't have to stay because you don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's places that you can come and we'll have everything that you need. We'll have all the support that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you'll have there with the abuser, you have it here with
Right,
us. You
right.
do not have to go back. That does not have to be your life because tomorrow isn't promised.
Mm-hmm.
If he snaps and that night could be your last night, you or your child,
Mm-hmm.
so it was important to me to give women and families a way out. And I really wanted it to be known that there is another way, and you don't have to stay in that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to become the next victim that wakes up on the cold slab.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we
That
try to do our part.
oh, you definitely are. You definitely are. That's a phenomenal testimony. And it is important to mention that I think they say on average it takes about 7 to 8 times for
Hmm.
someone to leave their abuser before they stay gone. So it's
Hmm.
important to know, like it is a cycle, like you were saying, it's a cycle, but organizations like Alabaster Box are there for you when you are ready
When
to
you're ready.
right, to fully commit and be
That's
removed
right.
from the situation. So it's phenomenal what you're doing. And just in this short amount of time, you can definitely see God's hand all on it because the amount of stuff, like I said, that I've seen that you all have collected is just amazing. So that's a blessing. So I know you just started in 2020, but have you seen any kind of ebbs and flows just based on the pandemic, or are there certain areas where you see more of a need now, or?
Well, honestly, I think that the pandemic gave us the best God's grace ever. Because, people think that it's like all gas when it comes to building an organization,
Mm,
when in actuality, the foundation is the most important part. So rushing to jump into the hands-on side of it is like putting the horse before the carriage. And when you're given the opportunity to step back and to make sure that your foundation is solid, that's like a blessing from God, because we honestly, like I kind of shared, how this kind of transpired and grew overnight, but it was like I almost wasn't ready because it happened so organically. We didn't think about what's the process behind it, what's getting, the credentials to support what we do, you know what I mean? Because those things matter, because when we're talking about expansion, we want to be able to get the proper funding, and you can't get it if you're not in order, you know what I mean? And that's why God gives us a time to get in order, but it's up to us to actually take that step
mhm.
and not say, oh, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and start taking people's money and just doing it. No.
Right before the
And,
horse.
and now you're wondering why your business is closing down super fast. The turnaround is like you went up and now you're in the ground burning and crashing.
Mhm, mhm.
No, if he gives you the opportunity, And that's not all the time that he's gonna, pump that brake after you jumped out there like that. Because God don't bless no mess. So if you jumped out there prematurely, that's on you. So if he gives you that opportunity to say, hey, all right, I know you bit off a little more than you could chew, so I'm gonna give you time to clean it up. You better take that opportunity and get in there.
Right, exactly. He's like, all right, let me just back up real quick.
Real quick, what I'm wheel it back.
Like, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with reassessing and redoing. Like that's
Yes. And I'm super thankful for COVID. Like it really gave us that opportunity to put things in writing, you know what I mean? And kind of just get out of it, you know what I mean, for a second, because jumping in, you're so consumed with what's actually happening that you're not even realizing you're getting deeper and deeper, and you don't even have your ducks in a row. You kind of got your ducks is going behind you now, you know what I mean? They ain't lined up anymore. So it was such a blessing for us to get that little window back.
Wow. So how has it unfolded? Like, did you started with the items, but you said there are other services that you offer as well. So what are some of those, and like kind of how did they?
And actually, those services were actually given during the building of the foundation, because now, see, originally it was supposed to just be clothes and shoes, and that was starting over. But then once I really stepped out of it and took a whole, look at it, then I realized, we do need more than just clothes. People need a place to go. People need the mental support. They need the spiritual support. They need jobs. You know what I mean? When they run, some people have been not working and been just attached to their abuser. You know what I mean? So now that they're out, they don't even know where to begin. They don't have any income. They don't have any training because they were a wife for 20 years or 15. You know what I mean? Like those are real problems. And being that I know a couple of people that have come out of situations like that, they've been married 20 years and now they're confused on what's life really. Do I go do what I usually do, or do I try something new? And it's like, to give somebody that option, like, well, hey, we offer training here, training there. So if you know what I mean, want to pursue different avenues until you find something that actually fits for you. You know what I mean? You might thought you want to be a secretary, but you might actually like to do a little labor. You might want to go out into the garden and be a gardener. You just never know. So we want to give the different, and it's therapy also, for people to be able to be a part of a workshop or you know what I mean, anything. So we wanted to make sure that we're supporting all the way around. And those relationships, when they presented themselves, it was just like, man, now see, this is when you're building, these are things that you want to put into the bill. But if you jumping out there too soon, you've missed it. Now you just got clothes. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And that is something that also I've considered with building out my company as well. Like I want to, when I start bringing on employees, actually employ individuals from various domestic violence communities, and financial abuse, is one of the main factors. Like you feel like you financially stand on your own, or like you may not have had gainful employment. They were homemakers and raising children, which is a job in its own right.
Yes.
But when it comes to being able to financially support yourself and your family, you don't have any resources. So working on making this a safe space also to bring on individuals like to seek financial support, financial stability in so it's good to know, I can like touch base with you, like, hey, like we have
all us. We will be glad to.
If anybody wants to learn how to make soap, which is very therapeutic in its own right,
And I've actually connected with another soap maker, and she expressed that to me. And she was like, because she makes shea butter soap, and she was like, I started it for therapy and it ended up being a business and it grew so fast. And she's like, so now when she makes her batches, she sent me a video. It was so touching. She sent a video of what she does in her batches, and she's like saying her praise and worship.
Yeah,
She got her music
all in the
playing
background, right?
while in the background, and it's like she's literally whipping up these
Yep.
bars, and it's just like watching the process and
Mm-hmm.
the love that it's giving and the energy that she's able to give to the soap. You know what I mean? It's truly I understand that. I didn't realize it would be so therapeutic, but I guess it's like
It really is.
the people that knit,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like one of those.
I can see that. Yeah. One day, well, I forget how it happened. I was watching a sermon somewhere. And it kind of came about like the mantra of like your hands heal. Right. So a lot of these things that are coming to pass. So like making products, you think, okay, yeah, I'm just sitting here making soap. But also at the same time, you're creating an environment, you're creating an opportunity, you're walking in purpose, and it's all coming from just the work that you're doing, and your hands are actually going forth and blessing other people.
That's
So
right.
a lot of people, it's just like, oh yeah, just make soap, but it's a process. Even in making one bar of soap, it's an entire month, right? So there's a curing process that goes through it. So it's kind of like life also, it's like everything is ready made. Like you have to sit there, go through your process, and then afterwards, like, oh, we're nice and clean.
Right.
We are clean now. We are free. We're light. We're loving things that things we had no idea about previously.
Right.
It's all a process. That's so cool that other people are doing that too. That's good. That makes me happy. That's good. So are there any other needs that Alabaster Box is looking for? I know you said clothes, but anything.
Well, we're always looking for any type of donations. We take everything. So if you know that it's a essential tool for someone, we'll take it. And we also could use hangers and bins, shoe racks, and clothing racks. Those are always needed because throughout our process we'll use about 10 different racks per hub. So we're going through them.
And you said you're opening a Sandy Springs one soon?
Yes, we're partnering with some Sandy Springs locations up there, but we have to kind of finalize up there. Those will be our northern, because we don't have anything north yet. We have south and we have metro.
Okay. So, no, that's so cool. That's where I'm at. I'm in Sandy Springs. So I'm like, oh
look. And, we're gonna let you know as soon as we're in your area.
Please do, because I'll drive right over there. I'll drive right on over. Like, here you go.
Yes.
So that is so cool. That's amazing. So do you have any events coming up, or it's just
well, we don't have any events per se because all of our hubs are kind of a little sensitive about people coming in.
Got you.
All of the rollouts that we have planned are kind of limited to the staff that they're allowing in Alabaster direct staff. So, due to COVID, we don't have any public events coming out, but of course, all of the schools that we're attached to, they will be welcome to come in and shop till they drop and get whatever they need and pass it along.
Yeah, that's so cool. Oh, that's amazing. So G. Marie, give your email and I guess social media handles.
It's all the same across all the boards. Alabaster Box Atlanta. And that's at Facebook, that's at Instagram, and email is the same at Gmail. And then our website is alabasterbox.org.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. And I'll link everything and every post that I do just so you all can find it. And we can go out and support, because this is an amazing mission.
We appreciate all the support.
Yeah. Girl, listen, we definitely gonna show up.
Hey, okay, link these arms together. This is how we build the communities, though. We're looking to purchase our first commercial property, which will be our first hub for housing. So
Wow. So you are going to
yeah,
become transitional housing. I was wondering about that. Oh, that's so
the
cool.
process now. And as soon as it opens up, we found a location that is southwest.
Mhm.
And we're trying to see, if we can finalize on it and get that thing.
Well,
That'll be our first location.
oh my God, that is such a blessing. It's happening. Girl, you already know.
Yes, it's already happening. I'm
All
thankful in advance.
that is so cool. Well, G Marie, this has been an absolute pleasure. I learned so much and like just see how God is moving in your life and in the lives of others is such a blessing to know that, people out here doing the work and serving and just getting it done. So again, yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn, and our BeUTee Bath and Body Buy One Give One soap drive is currently going on throughout the entire month of October, where for every 1 bar of our BU soap, 1 bar will be donated to a local domestic violence center here in Metro Atlanta. So head on over to BeUTeeBathAndBody.com and purchase your soap and just be a blessing all around.
That's right.
Thank you so much again, G Marie. Again,
Thank you for having me.
have a beautiful day, everyone.
Ah!
Bye.
Bye-bye.